So today we're going to be taking a deep dive into this book called Aging with Strength by Conrad Riker.
Yeah.
Um, I picked this up because, well, I mean, aging is something that's on all of our minds these days, right? But this book is not about surrendering to father time. It's about recognizing the strength and the potential that comes with getting older. And I think this book really resonated with me, especially after seeing my dad struggle with some of the changes that come with age. And I knew I needed to get a handle on this whole aging thing for myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a journey that we all face, and Riker's approach is really refreshing. He acknowledges the realities of getting older for sure, but he frames them as challenges to overcome, not roadblocks.
Yeah, I agree. And right off the bat, the book dives into this use it or lose it concept when it comes to our body. Muscle mass, bone density, like everything starts to slow down.
Yeah, it's true. Those are some common concerns, but what's fascinating is that he backs this up with the science behind it. He explains how muscle mass and bone density naturally decrease with age, but he emphasizes that it doesn't have to be a steep decline. Like he tells the story of Robert, who at 60 realized his old workout routine wasn't cutting it anymore. So instead of throwing in the towel, Robert adapted. He started swimming and doing yoga. He found activities that worked for his changing body.
Yeah, so it's not about trying to be 20 again. It's about finding ways to stay active that work for you now.
Exactly. And that idea of adaptation is really key throughout the book.
Yeah, it makes me think, what were some of those activities you loved when you were younger? Is there a way to bring them back in a way that fits your life now?
That's a great question for every listener to consider. And speaking of adaptation, the book then tackles the aging mind. Riker doesn't shy away from those worries we all have about memory lapses and slower thinking.
Oh, tell me about it. I've definitely had those senior moments where I can't remember where I put my keys or someone's name just slips my mind.
It's a universal experience, and Riker normalizes it by sharing David's story. David was constantly misplacing things, forgetting names, even getting lost in familiar places. It's something a lot of us can relate to.
Oh, absolutely. So how does Riker suggest we tackle this?
Well, he introduces this concept of ongoing learning as a powerful tool. Learning new things like a new language or playing chess or even picking up a musical instrument can create new neural pathways in the brain.
So it's like giving your brain a workout.
Exactly. And Riker dives into the research that shows how this directly combats age-related cognitive decline.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is it's never too late to start.
That's encouraging. I've always wanted to learn to play the guitar. Maybe now's the time.
There's a new challenge waiting for you. Riker really emphasizes that taking on new learning experiences can be a game changer for the aging mind.
So we've talked about keeping our bodies and our minds active. What about the fuel we put into our body? I'm guessing Riker doesn't advocate for the bacon and eggs every morning approach to nutrition.
Yeah, you're catching on. Riker acknowledges that our dietary needs evolve as we age. He actually jokes about moving away from that bacon for breakfast mindset. He explains how our metabolism changes and our bodies might not process certain foods as efficiently as they used to.
Makes sense. I've definitely noticed that I can't get away with eating the same way I did in my 20s.
It's all about making adjustments. Riker emphasizes a balanced diet that's rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean protein, all that good stuff.
Sounds pretty standard for healthy eating, right?
It is, but he goes deeper into why these choices are particularly crucial for aging men. He digs into the science behind it, explaining how specific nutrients impact things like bone health, heart health, and even cognitive function. He specifically talks about vitamin D and its role in calcium absorption, which is crucial for maintaining bone density as we get older.
So it's not just about eating your veggies, it's about understanding the why behind those healthy choices.
Precisely. And he gives specific examples, like incorporating fatty fish for those omega-3 fatty acids, which are great for heart health. And he reminds us that while supplements can be helpful, it's crucial to talk to your doctor to figure out what's best for you.
Always good advice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered keeping our bodies and minds sharp and fueling ourselves properly. What else does Riker tackle?
Well, he then delves into the emotional side of aging. It's a big one. He recognizes that getting older can come with some emotional shifts, maybe some mood swings, feeling out of sync with younger generations, or even just a sense of irritability.
Yeah, I can see how those shifts could be challenging.
Absolutely. And Riker doesn't sugarcoat it. He talks about how hormonal changes, societal expectations, and even just the natural transitions of life can impact our emotional well-being.
But what's the antidote? How do we navigate those emotional waters?
Well, Riker highlights the story of John, a man who found himself struggling after the loss of his wife. He felt lost, without purpose.
That's heartbreaking, but unfortunately a reality for many.
It is, but John's story is also one of resilience. He eventually found solace and a renewed sense of purpose through community involvement. It's a powerful example of how important it is to stay connected, especially as we age.
So finding new ways to engage with others and find meaning in this new chapter.
Exactly. Riker really emphasizes the importance of cultivating those connections, seeking out new passions, and recognizing that it's okay to ask for help if you're struggling. He poses a great question for all of us to think about. What brings you joy and fulfillment? How can you incorporate more of that into your life as you age?
Such a powerful question. Really makes you think about what truly matters as we get older. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one more topic that Riker addresses, and it's one that many people avoid.
End-of-life planning.
Yeah, you're right. It's not the most pleasant conversation, but Riker approaches it with a lot of sensitivity. He stresses that planning ahead brings peace of mind, not just for ourselves, but for our loved ones as well. I can see how that would be a huge weight lifter. But where do we even begin?
Well, Riker breaks it down. He talks about the essentials wills, advanced healthcare directives, which basically outline your wishes for medical care if you're unable to make those decisions yourself, and even funeral planning. He dives into the practical and financial aspects, even mentioning that the average funeral cost is over $7,000.
Wow. I had no idea it was that expensive. Planning ahead definitely seems like a wise move, both emotionally and financially.
Absolutely. And to illustrate the benefits, he shares a story about a man who had meticulously planned for the end, and it brought immense comfort to his family during a very difficult time.
It really highlights the power of taking control, even in the face of something as daunting as end-of-life planning. So, in this first part, we've tackled the physical, mental, emotional, and even the, logistical aspects of aging. Where do we go from here?
Well, in part two, we'll roll up our sleeves and dig into the specific strategies Riker outlines for maintaining physical and mental well-being as we age. Get ready for a toolbox full of actionable advice.
I'm ready. We'll be back soon with part 2 of our deep dive into aging with strength.
Welcome back to our deep dive into aging with strength. In part 1, we laid the foundation, exploring the core principles of aging with strength and resilience.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground. The use it or lose it principle, adapting our exercise routines, embracing lifelong learning, and even tackling that often avoided topic of end-of-life planning.
And remember those stories that really brought those concepts to life. Robert finding new ways to stay active, David using learning to keep his mind sharp, and John discovering a renewed sense of purpose after loss.
Yeah, those stories really highlight that aging isn't about decline. It's about transformation and finding new ways to thrive.
Exactly. Now in part 2, we're getting into the nitty-gritty. Riker provides a toolbox full of strategies for maintaining physical and mental well-being as we age.
Okay, let's open up that toolbox. What's first on the list?
Well, let's start with the foundation exercise. Remember that inspiring 75-year-old we talked about? The one who's stronger than many men half his age? Well, Riker gives us a glimpse into his routine, and it's surprisingly simple.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's his secret? Some crazy new workout regimen.
Actually, it's not about some fancy program. This gentleman focuses on consistency. He aims for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise every week.
Okay, that seems doable. But what does that actually look like day to day?
He incorporates a mix of cardio, strength training, and flexibility exercise. For cardio, he enjoys brisk walking, swimming, and even dancing.
Dancing, that's fantastic. I love that he's found something he enjoys.
Yeah, Riker really stresses that finding activities you genuinely enjoy is crucial for sticking with it long term. It shouldn't feel like a chore.
So finding that balance between pushing yourself and actually looking forward to your workout.
Exactly. When it comes to strength training, Riker recommends exercises that target all the major muscle groups. He suggests using weights, resistance bands, or even just body weight exercises.
So you don't need a fancy gym membership or expensive equipment to stay strong as you get older.
No. Riker is all about finding ways to incorporate strength training into your everyday life. He even suggests simple things like taking the stairs instead of the elevator, or carrying groceries to build strength.
Those are great tips. What about flexibility? I've definitely noticed I'm not as limber as I used to be.
Yeah, Riker's a big advocate for yoga and stretching. He explains how maintaining flexibility can prevent injuries, improve balance, and even reduce those aches and pains that can creep up as we age.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we've got cardio, strength training, and flexibility. It sounds like a well-rounded approach.
It is. And remember, Tom, the runner who switched to swimming due to knee pain. Well, Riker uses his story to illustrate the importance of adapting your exercise routine as your body changes. Swimming not only took the pressure off Tom's joints, but it also improved his upper body strength and flexibility.
It's a good reminder that we need to listen to our bodies and adjust accordingly. So finding activities you enjoy, mixing things up, adapting as needed, That's the recipe for staying active as we age.
You got it. And of course, always consult with your healthcare provider before starting any new exercise program.
Always sound advice. Okay, so we've got the exercise piece down. What's next in Riker's toolbox?
Well, let's move on to nutrition. Remember that bacon for breakfast mentality Riker wants us to move away from?
Oh, I do. I'm ready to ditch the bacon and hear what he suggests we fuel our bodies with instead.
Well, he's not saying to banish bacon forever, but he does emphasize the importance of a balanced diet that's rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean protein.
Okay, that sounds like the standard healthy eating advice we hear all the time. What makes it specific to aging men?
Riker breaks it down in a way that's tailored to the needs of men as they age. He explains that our metabolisms naturally slow down, meaning we need fewer calories overall.
Makes sense. I can't eat the way I used to without seeing it on the scale.
Right, and he also highlights the importance of certain nutrients that become even more crucial as we age.
Like what? Give us the specific.
Well, he talks about vitamin D, which, as we mentioned before, helps with bone health and calcium absorption. Then there's vitamin B12, which is crucial for nerve function and cell metabolism, and omega-3 fatty acids, which are good for heart health.
Okay, those all sound important. So how do we make sure we're getting enough of those nutrients?
Riker suggests incorporating foods like fatty fish, leafy greens, and fortified cereals into your diet. And he doesn't shy away from supplements if you're not getting enough of a particular nutrient through your diet. Supplements can be helpful, but always under the guidance of a healthcare professional.
Good point.
Yeah.
It's easy to go overboard with supplements, so personalized advice is key.
Absolutely. And here's where it gets interesting. Riker points out that our digestive systems change as we age, which can affect how well we absorb certain nutrients.
Really? I haven't thought about that.
Yeah, it's something we don't often consider. He suggests eating more fiber-rich foods, staying hydrated, and even looking into probiotics to support gut health.
Okay, so paying attention to gut health is another important piece to the puzzle.
It is. And I think it's important to emphasize that Riker isn't advocating for some restrictive, joyless diet. He's all about finding a way of eating that's sustainable, enjoyable, and personalized to your needs and preferences.
So ditch the fad diets and focus on building healthy habits that you can stick with long term.
Exactly. It's about making gradual changes that fit into your lifestyle, not overhauling everything overnight.
Okay, so we've covered exercise and nutrition. What else does Riker have in store for us?
Well, he dives into something that's often overlooked, but incredibly important: sleep. He dedicates a whole chapter to it, highlighting how sleep patterns can change as we get older.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I don't seem to sleep as soundly as I used to.
Well, Riker explains that while we may not need as much sleep as we did in our 20s, the quality of our sleep becomes even more crucial as we age. He emphasizes that poor sleep can increase the risk of chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes, and it can negatively impact cognitive function, mood, and energy levels.
So skimping on sleep is doing ourselves a major disservice.
Exactly. And it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. Riker emphasizes the importance of establishing a regular sleep schedule, creating a relaxing bedtime routine, and optimizing our sleep environment.
So things like dimming the lights, keeping the room cool, and avoiding screen time before bed. All those things we've heard before, but maybe haven't fully committed to.
Exactly. He also stresses the importance of managing stress, which, as we all know, can disrupt our sleep.
Oh, I know when I'm stressed, sleep is usually the first thing to go.
Well, Riker offers a variety of strategies for managing stress, including exercise, mindfulness techniques, and even seeking professional help if needed.
Okay, so prioritizing sleep is crucial for both our physical and mental well-being. And it's good to know there are strategies we can use to improve our sleep quality.
Absolutely. And Riker even dives into specific sleep issues, offering tips for dealing with insomnia and sleep apnea.
Wow, it's really comprehensive. Okay, so we've got exercise, nutrition, and sleep covered. What else is on Riker's list?
Well, he tackles a topic that's a reality for many of us as we get older: managing chronic diseases.
Yeah, that's a big one. We can't exactly ignore those health conditions that can pop up.
And Riker doesn't sugarcoat it. He provides a thorough overview of some of the most prevalent chronic diseases affecting men: heart disease, stroke, diabetes, arthritis, and even cancer.
Okay, that sounds a bit daunting. How does he suggest we tackle all of that?
He breaks it down into manageable steps, starting with understanding your individual risk factors, things like family history, lifestyle choices, and existing health conditions.
So knowing your family history and being aware of your own habits.
Exactly. He encourages open and honest conversations with your healthcare provider to assess your risks and get regular screenings and checkups.
Early detection is key, right?
Absolutely. He also stresses the importance of proactive management, taking medications as prescribed, making necessary lifestyle changes, and seeking support from healthcare professionals and support groups.
So it's about taking control and being proactive, not just passively accepting these conditions.
Exactly. And Riker provides guidance on navigating the world of medications and potential side effects.
Yeah, that can be tricky, especially if you're taking multiple medications.
It can be. Riker explains how certain medications can interact with each other or have side effects that impact your quality of life.
So what does he recommend we do?
Well, he encourages us to be informed about our medications, ask questions, and communicate openly with our healthcare providers about any concerns.
So taking ownership and being an advocate for ourselves.
Right. He even suggests keeping a detailed medication log to track dosages, potential side effects, and interaction.
Oh, that's a great tip. I'm going to start doing that.
And remember, managing chronic diseases isn't just about medication. It's also about making those lifestyle changes we talked about. Exercise, nutrition, stress management to support your overall health.
Yeah, it all ties together. Riker really emphasizes that holistic approach.
He does. Now, for the final tool in his toolbox, one that might surprise you.
I'm intrigued. What is it?
Embracing technology.
Technology.
Yeah.
Huh. I wouldn't have guessed that. What did that have to do with aging?
Well, Riker dedicates a whole chapter to how technology can be a powerful tool in our aging journey. He showcases how everything from wearable fitness trackers to virtual reality can help us stay active, connected, and engaged.
Okay, this is fascinating. Tell me more.
Well, he starts with fitness trackers, explaining how they can help us monitor our activity levels, sleep patterns, and even heart rate. He shares an anecdote about a man who used a fitness tracker to motivate himself to walk more and ended up losing weight and feeling much healthier.
It's like having a personal coach on your wrist.
Exactly. Then there's virtual reality, which Riker believes holds huge potential for making exercise and rehabilitation more engaging. He describes how virtual reality can transport us to different worlds, allowing us to go on virtual hikes, explore underwater reefs, or even play interactive games that require physical movement.
So I could climb Mount Everest without leaving my living room.
In a way, yes. And Riker thinks this type of technology can be particularly beneficial for older adults who may have mobility limitations or who find traditional exercise boring.
That's amazing. What else does Riker cover in the tech department?
Well, he also highlights the power of online communities and social media for staying connected with loved ones, combating loneliness, and even accessing healthcare services remotely.
I can see how that would be valuable, especially for those who might be more isolated.
Absolutely. He even talks about telehealth, which allows us to consult with healthcare professionals through video calls or online platforms.
Yeah, it's incredible how technology is changing the healthcare landscape.
It is. And Riker believes these advancements have the potential to make healthcare more accessible and personalized, especially for older adults.
So it's not about fearing technology, but about embracing its potential to enhance our lives as we age.
Precisely. Riker encourages us to explore these tools and find what works best for us.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this part. Exercise, nutrition, sleep, managing chronic diseases, and even technology. It sounds like Riker has given us a comprehensive toolkit.
He really has. And in part 3, we'll explore the final piece of the puzzle, resilience, and how to cultivate that unyielding spirit that allows us to face the challenges of aging head on.
Can't wait. We'll be back soon with the final part of our deep dive into aging with strength. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into aging with strength.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From the physical changes and mental shifts to the role technology can play in aging well.
And we've explored Riker's practical strategies for everything from exercise and nutrition to sleep and managing chronic disease. We even talked about embracing technology, which I have to say was pretty eye-opening.
It's been a journey, but there's one more crucial piece we need to discuss: resilience.
Resilient. Now that sounds like a superpower.
It really is. Riker describes resilience as the ability to bounce back from setbacks, adapt to change, and maintain a positive outlook even when things get tough. He believes it's the key to not just surviving our later years, but truly thriving.
Okay, I'm all in. How do we tap into the superpower? How do we build that resilience?
Well, Riker lays out a framework, and it all starts with our minds. He encourages us to shift our perspective on aging. Instead of seeing it as a period of decline, we need to view it as an opportunity for growth and transformation.
So it's about reframing those negative thoughts we might have about getting older.
Exactly. Riker challenges us to let go of the idea that our best years are behind us. There's so much potential in each new chapter.
That's a great way to look at it. But how do we actually make that shift? It's one thing to say it, but another to truly believe it.
Well, Riker offers several techniques. One of the most powerful is gratitude. He encourages us to focus on what we're grateful for: our health, our loved ones, the experiences we've had. It's about cultivating a sense of appreciation for the present moment.
So instead of dwelling on what we've lost or what we're afraid of losing, we focus on the good stuff.
Right. He also emphasizes the importance of setting realistic goals and focusing on what we can control. There's no point in getting bogged down by things that are outside of our sphere of influence.
That's a good point. It's easy to get overwhelmed when you focus on things you can't change.
It is. And Riker suggests breaking down those larger goals into smaller, more manageable steps. Celebrate those small victories along the way. It helps build momentum.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it's more motivating, too.
Absolutely. And here's another key element of building resilience: finding purpose and meaning in this new phase of life. Riker encourages exploration. Maybe it's a new hobby, volunteering, or even taking on new challenges that reignite those passions you might have put aside.
So it's about reinventing ourselves in a way, discovering new avenues for fulfillment.
Exactly. It's never too late to pursue your dreams or make a difference in the world.
I love that message. It's inspiring to think about the possibilities. So we've talked about mindset, gratitude, realistic goals, finding purpose. What else contributes to building resilience?
Well, Riker highlights the vital role of social connection. Strong relationships with family, friends, and our community are essential for navigating the ups and downs of aging.
That makes sense. We're not meant to go through life alone, especially as we get older.
We're not. Riker reminds us that these connections give us a sense of belonging, purpose, and support. He encourages us to nurture those relationships, reach out to others, and be open to forming new connections.
So it's about being proactive, making an effort to stay connected.
Exactly. And he even suggests things like joining social groups, volunteering, or taking classes to meet like-minded people who share your interests.
Great ideas.
Right.
It's about expanding our social circles and staying engaged with the world around us. Okay, so we've covered mindset and social connection. What about those inevitable setbacks that life throws our way? How do we bounce back from those?
Well, Riker provides strategies for navigating those tough times, and self-care is at the top of the list. Getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, and engaging in activities that bring us joy. Those things are crucial for weathering those storms.
Yeah, it sounds like taking care of our physical and emotional needs is even more important during those challenging times.
Absolutely. And Riker also suggests reframing setbacks as opportunities for growth. He encourages us to ask ourselves, what can I learn from this experience? How can I use this to become stronger?
So it's about turning those challenges into stepping stones. That's a powerful way to look at it.
It is. And he reminds us that seeking support from others, family, friends, therapists, support groups is essential. Talking about our experiences and leaning on others for support can be incredibly helpful in processing difficult emotions and finding new ways to cope.
It's about recognizing that asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength.
Exactly. Reaching out for support is crucial for maintaining our well-being, especially during those tough times.
This whole concept of resilience is so inspiring. It's about having that unyielding spirit, a positive outlook, and the ability to adapt and grow no matter what life throws at us.
You've captured it perfectly. And that's really the overarching message of aging with strength. It's not about denying the realities of aging. It's about embracing them with courage, determination, and a belief in our ability to not just survive, but to thrive.
That's a powerful message. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
Aging is a journey, and like any journey, it has its challenges, but it also has incredible potential for growth, transformation, and even joy. Riker has equipped us with a roadmap, a toolbox full of strategies to navigate this journey with strength, resilience, and purpose.
It's been an incredible deep dive. If you're ready to embrace the strength that comes with age, I highly recommend checking out Aging with Strength by Conrad Riker. You can find it on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books.
Until next time, keep aging strong.